In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you on how you can super easily implement TopBar Plus into your Roblox game. If you don't know, TopBar Plus essentially allows you to add widgets to the top of your top bar that look a little bit like this. So as you can see, we have support for dropdowns, for menus, for custom fonts, icons, and all of that good stuff. Keep in mind this system also supports the new Roblox top bar, which I'll put on screen right now. And now I'm going to be showing you how we can implement it into our game. Now I'd love to give a massive shout out to Mr. Ben or ForeverHd here for making this amazing module, and a massive thanks for them for making this possible and most importantly making it open source. So if you head down to the documentation, which will of course be linked in the description down below, if you head over to installation, we have a couple of methods that we can use to install the package here. So of course we can install it, we can download it from the GitHub releases, we can use Rojo, or we can use Wally. So all of my Roblox TS fans from the last video, maybe you should have a look into using these last three options here. But for our video today, we're going to be using the Roblox model. So if you click on this hyperlink, it's going to take you over to the Roblox module. And from here, what you can do is you can click on Get Model. And now what we can do is we can open up our studio. Okay, so now that we're inside of Studio, what we can do is we can head over to View, then to Toolbox, to Inventory, and then to My Models, and as you can see, TopBar Plus is going to be here. Now, as you can see, we have it inside of our workspace, and if we open the drop down here, we have the README, and we have our package here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove the README, and then I'm going to chuck icon inside of replicated storage. This is just as I prefer my modules to be inside of replicated storage. However, keep in mind you could have it in another directory if you prefer, but the client is going to have to be able to access this module script. And if we take a gander through the documentation here, we can see that TopBar Plus fully supports PC, mobile, tablet, and gamepads, aka consoles, and comes with internal features such as Overflow to ensure icons remain within suitable bounds. And as you can see, we can easily make an icon by requiring the module script and then creating a new icon object. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a local script inside of starter player script, and let's just give it a suitable name like TopBar Plus icon creator. So to start off, we're going to import the package here. So how we're going to do this is we're going to create a new variable, and we can just call this icon. So we're going to say local icon equals, and then we're going to require the game.replicatedStorage.icon. Now what require is going to do is going to fetch the value that is returned from the icon module script. Now if we take a look inside of this icon module script and scroll all the way to the bottom where we can see what a value is returned from the module script, we can see that it returns a table here. Now inside of this table, it has a ton of variables and functions that we're going to be able to use to our advantage here. We can see it's super simple to make an icon by simply defining a new variable and then creating a new icon by simply stating icon.new. So let's try out and see what happens here. So if we return back over to our local script here and we say icon:new, and then let's just assign it to a variable, so we can say local new icon equals, and then now if we run the game, you're going to notice we have a blank icon like this. Right now it does nothing, but as you can see, it's here. Now also remember how this supports the new Roblox top bar. As you can see, it's blending in perfectly. Now if we take a look in the documentation, it specifies the order icons appear are determined by their construction sequence. This means that the icons will be visible in the order you create them. Of course, you can modify this behavior using icon set order, which is defined here in the API reference, but we're going to not go through that today. Now, if we take a look in the methods here, these are all of the different things we can do to our icon, okay? So as you can see, we have a ton of things. We can set the name, we can get the actual physical instance, and there's so many different things we can do here. Now what we're going to actually take a look at is set image and set label. So if we return over to our local script here, and we can see we can set the label by providing some text. So let's see if this works. So let's simply try saying new icon, colon, set, and then where is it? Set label. And then let's just set it to be hello world. Now if we play the game, you're going to notice that our icon actually has a label in it. However, as you can see, when we interact with it, nothing really happens. And obviously, this won't be very helpful if we're trying to use this inside of our game. So to handle this, we're now going to have a look at some of the events of the icon object. So as you can see, we have the selected event, the deselected event, the toggled event, and the viewing started event. So as you can see, there's a little description of which one does. So as you can see, we have the toggled, we have when it's selected. So let's just have a look at the toggled event here. So let's try this out here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say new icon dot toggled. Quite unfortunate, I have no IntelliSense here. Then connect function like this, and then we're going to just have is selected, and then let's drop a line here, and then let's just say print is selected. So let's just have a little bit of a look at what this code is doing. So when the toggled event is run, we're going to run a function that takes is selected as a parameter, and then we're going to print the value. So let's see what this does. So let's open up our output here, join the game, and see what everything is doing. Okay, so now when we click on hello world, you can see that this is currently toggled, and when we unselect it, you can see that it's not currently toggled. As you can see, true, it is selected, and false, it isn't selected. Now we also have our different events here, like selected, and we can, from here, we can take from source, and we also have our different events here, like selected. So this can be useful for checking if the behavior was triggered by a user. So let's give this a quick try. I'm just going to copy this for convenience, and let's paste that in like that, and take this away, and let's see what this does. So here we're waiting for the selected event to occur, and then when that happens, we run this function that takes the from source parameter, and let's see exactly what happens here. So we're going to press play, and now when we press hello world, you can see the icon was selected by the user, and when we unselect it, nothing happens because we didn't select anything. Now you may be a little confused about line 8 over here, and I'm just going to explain exactly what it does. So we create the new variable here called source name, and now as you can see here, we have from source or unknown. This means if a from source is truthy, meaning that it is not nil or false, source name will be assigned the value of from source. If it is not truthy, then it will be assigned the value unknown. Just I wanted to clear that up in case you're confused. Now lucky for us, TopBar Plus provides us with a features page that is really useful for understanding what everything does, as it gives us a visual clue. So as you can see here, we have the set image. I didn't actually show you what set image does, but if you provide a decal ID, or an image ID as it's called, I think, it will just set the icon to have that logo, and as you can see, you can use them both together. Now we have alignments. So as you can see, it aligns the icon to different bounds of the screen, and as you can see, we have the method align. If we actually do that now by just saying new icon and then align, it really sucks that I don't have IntelliSense right now, and then give it a whirl, you can see that the icon is then centered in the area we want it to be centered. Great. Now we also have notices, so that makes a little notification pop up. And as you can see, we can also set captions. So lucky for us, he provides a GIF showing us exactly what that does. And notify just adds that little notification icon next to it, which will be good if you want to notify users. And as you can see here, he actually shows us how we can make a drop down. And using the set drop down method, it looks like we can provide an array of new icons. So let's try that out, and I'll try to explain it best I can. So what we can do here is we can say new icon, set, and then, set drop down it is. Let's just have a look in the API documentation here. So as you can see, in method set drop down, and then it takes an array of icons. So that's really intelligent here. So if we actually run this method and then pass an array like this. And then let's just create a couple of new icons. So I'm going to go icon, new, and then let's just set their label like this. And I'm just going to say subscribe. And then I'm going to make a comma specifying that I have a new item inside of our array. And then I'm going to set the label of our second item to be 2. And then I'm going to set the third item of our array to be cookie tech. Then like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly run this. And as you can see, if I now click on this, and ooh, it looks like I've made a mistake. Attempt to call missing method new of table. It looks like I made a stupid typo. It's not set label with a capital S, it's set label with a lowercase p. So let's see if this now all works. And it looks like my changes didn't save here, so there we go. Now let's give this a whirl and take a look. Okay, another issue. And it also isn't new with a uppercase, it's new with a lowercase. Now this should all be working just fine. So let's see. Perfect. So it's not labeled, but as you can see, we have our drop down here. And hold on, let me just rename this new icon. Set label, and then to drop down like this. And now if we press play, you're going to see here that there we go. We now have this drop down here. Now you may be thinking to yourself, how are we going to handle when somebody clicks on one of these icons? And it's quite simple. We're going to be using the bind event method. So how this works is, let's just have a look at the documentation here, is essentially it takes the icon event name, which is, I presume, any events here which is any event here from the events category. And then what we do is we pass a callback, which is essentially a function here. So once again, we're not going to say subscribe like this, otherwise we'd be calling the function. We just need to pass a subscribe like that. And then when we click on the icon, as it's the selected event, it's now going to run this function subscribe, which is then going to print subscribe. So let's give this a whirl here. And as you can see, it's working perfectly, except I spelled that a little bit wrong, but that is completely okay. One thing I want to show you is the modify theme function. So how this works is it's a method that you can use on icons. Let me find it. Where is it? Here it is. And this allows you to modify the appearance of an icon. So how this works is you pass a name. So for example, this could be widget, it could be icon gradient, it could be really anything that is a child of the icon. Then the property that you want to change, and then which value you want to set it to. So if we quickly have a look here, let's just press play. And then head over to players, cookie dev x, play GUI. And then have a look at our top bar here. And where is our icon going to be? Let's see. I believe this would be it. And you can see we have our widget here, which is a frame. And as you can see in here, we have our drop down and stuff. We can modify our theme. And essentially what we can do here is we can pass a specific name. And if we have a look here, inside of our player object, inside of player GUI, we have a widget frame here. For example, we can change the minimum width. As you can see, it's an attribute here. And now what we could do, for example, is we can pass the value that we want to change it to by then passing the value like this. Pretty cool, right? And then we can also modify a child theme, I believe it is. Let's see. Yeah, modify child theme. And this allows you to update the appearance of all icons that are parented to that icon. Right, okay, got it. Now, what else do we have here? So we also have our menus. We can't forget about them. And they essentially work in a similar way, just like a drop down. But instead of using the set drop down method, it's using the set menu method, which essentially works the same here. And then we have one-click icons. So a one-click icon, which is one that is instantly deselected when selected, which is probably quite useful if you have a drop down here. So let's say we wanted to have a label called Hello World, and what we wanted to do is we wanted it to print hello as soon as you click on it. So we could do, for example, dot selected connect selected connect function, and then we can just print hello world, right? And now what happens though is when we load into the game here, and we I made a typo again. It should be connect with a capital C, and then we press play. You're going to notice that when we click on it, it works. But if you look very closely, you can see that the hello world is still selected. So we need to unselect it and then select it again for it to reprint. So a one click, as it's called, would be excellent for us. So we can easily do this by just using the one click method. So let's try that. New icon, colon, one click. And I accidentally have 2 colons here, so let's amend that. And now when we hop into the game and press play, you're going to see that when we click on the icon, it is immediately unselected. And now that means as soon as we click it again, hello world is printed straight away. So here we can also have a toggle item, and this means that it's essentially going to make a frame appear or disappear when an icon is toggled, and it's the equivalent of doing this. So let's have a look at that. And it's just a simple method that does this for us. So if we try this out here, so let's create a screen UI, and then let's add a frame inside, and let's have a look at it here. So like this, and then let's set the visibility to false. Let's chuck our local script inside of this screen UI, and then say new icon, colon, and then we're going to bind toggle item to, and then I'm just going to say script.parent.frame, and I am going to remove the one click. Now, one really important thing that we need to do is if we head into the game right now and we reset, just like this, you're going to see that there's 2 hello world buttons. And this is not good, of course. Now what we could do is we could set screen GUI, and we could set, where is it? We could set reset on spawn to false. Now if we try it, you're going to see that the issue doesn't occur, which is really important. Now if we test this method out and press it, you can see it's working just like we want it to. When hello world is selected, our frame is visible, and when we unselect hello world, our frame is no longer visible. Now it's time to take a look at the next method, so I'm just going to go through all of the features here. So we have toggle keys, and it looks like we can add a key code here, a bit like a hotkey, right? So if we go back to our hello world thing, and I'm going to put our local script back where it previously was in starter player scripts, going to revert the script to the hello world just like this. And what we can do here is we should be able to say, I'm going to remove the bind toggle item here. What we should be able to say is new icon colon bind toggle key, and then enum dot key code, whoopsies, dot, and let's just go for G like this, and then we now press play. Actually, let's do H, that's more fitting, right? And then we then press play. Now let's have a look at our output here. Attempt to call missing method of bottle. Oh. Attempting to call missing method bind toggle key of table. What have we done here? Oh, that is not how you spell bind. There you go. I bet you're all screaming at me here. Okay, no errors. And as you can see, when we now press H, it's just like we're pressing the button. This would be more noticeable if we weren't on the one click method. So if we take away the one click method now, like this, then press play, you're going to notice that the highlight is a lot more obvious. So I press H, and you can see that is highlighted here. And we also get the caption, pretty cool, which will work well if we caption the buttons appropriately. Now we're almost at the end here, but as you can see, TopBar Plus comes in with the inbuilt support for gamepads such as Xbox, PlayStation and controllers, and full console screens. So to highlight the last selected icon or leftmost if none has been selected, users simply press the D-pad up, blah 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 blah, and you can change the keycode from D-pad up by changing icon.highlight key to enum.keycode and then a new keycode. But I think the upwards button on the controller should be perfectly okay, but once again this is slightly more sophisticated, so that's up to you. And as you can see, overflows here, you know, it's handled perfectly by TopBar Plus here. So as you can see, if I grab the output here and then start to pull it ever so closely, it's going to become a sliding thing, and it should handle all of the overflows completely appropriately. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was certainly very fun to make it and explain it to you. That's all from me. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, a massive thank you to ForeverHd. That's all from me, and bye bye.